So Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you very much for joining today. And we shall continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, but this time chapter 14, Disappearance of Lord Krishna. So Purna Mataji, would you like to read or the English, or would Shaivi like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yeah, I can read the English.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So, very good. So, Anandalila, please, you can start whenever you're ready.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Chapter 14, the disappearance of Lord Shri Krishna. Sutta uvacha samprasthite dwarakayam jishnu bandhu didrakshaya kyantum cha punya slokasya krishnasya cha vichestitam.
Sri Sutta Goswami said, Arjun went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna and other friends and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities.
Vyati tahakati chinmashas tadanaya tatorjunaha dadarsha ghora rupani nimittani kurudvaha.
A few months passed and Arjun did not return. Maharaj Yudhishthir then began to observe some inauspicious omens which were fearful in themselves.
Kalasya cha gatim rodram viparyastartu dharminaha papiyasim nirnam vartam krodhalobhamritatmanam.
He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood.
Jihima prayam yavaharitam satyamishram cha sorhidam pitra matra sruhid bhratra dampatinam cha kalkanam.
All ordinary transactions and dealings became polluted with cheating, even between friends. And in familial affairs, there was always misunderstanding between fathers, mothers, and sons, between well-wishers and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there was always strain and quarrel.
Oops. Sorry.
Nimittani accharishtani kale tva anugate nrinam lobhadiya dharma prakritim drishtvo vachanujam nipaha.
In course of time, it came to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. Maharaj Yudhishthir, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother.
Yudhishthira uvacha sampreshito dwarakayam jishnur bandhu didrikshaya gyantum cha punya slokasya krishnasya cha vichestitam.
Maharaj Yudhishthir said to his younger brother Bhimsen, I sent Arjun to Dwarka to meet his friends and to learn from the personality of Godhead Krishna of his program of work.
Gatha saptadhuna masa bhimasena tavanujaha nayati kashyavahetur naham vededhamangyasa.
Since he departed, 7 months have passed, yet he has not returned. I do not know factually how things are going there.
Api devarsinadishtah sakaloyam upastitah yadatmano nigam akridam Bhagavan utsisrikshati.
Is he going to quit his earthly pastimes, as Devarshi Narad indicated? Has that time already arrived?
Yashmanah sampado rajam daraha pranaha kulam prajaha ashan sapatna vijayo lokaschayad anugrahat.
From him only, all our kingly opulence, good wives, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over enemies, and future accommodations in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to his causeless mercy upon us.
Okay, so let's have a look at this chapter, this part of it. So Kali's influence. Arjun went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. Few months passed, Arjun did not return. King Yudhishthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens, which were fearful in themselves. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed. This was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. People in general had become very greedy, angry, deceitful. He saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. All ordinary transactions and dealings became polluted with cheating, even between friends. And in familial affairs, there were always misunderstandings between fathers, mothers, sons, between well-wishers and between brothers, even between husband and wife, there was always strain and quarrel. So this is actually very symptomatic of where we live now in Kali Yuga. But in that time, it was the end of Dwapar Yuga, and devotees were not so, the people were not so degraded. But Maharaj Yudhishthira saw that the time had come when something's happening, because there's so much disruption going on in society. But and he saw these as omens that perhaps Krishna has left, as had been predicted by Narad Muni to him. So we live in strange times, of course, at the moment, especially with all these viruses flying around. Very inauspicious times, actually. But the good thing about it is, the worse it gets, the better our chances are of becoming God realized. Because if everything was very nice and very comfortable, we will consider this place as our home. But when it becomes uncomfortable and inauspicious, then we begin to question, is this our real home? Because our natural condition is to be happy. But when we see unhappiness all around us and within ourselves, then we question, is this really our place? So it's a good thing. This everything in Kali Yuga that's going on, which is inauspicious, actually is auspicious for those who ask the right questions and seek the opportunity to again become associated with the Supreme Lord. So we shouldn't think that these things are necessarily bad for us. They're actually good for us. We can take a negative and make it into a positive. And that is very, very important. Otherwise, in this world, there'll only be negatives. There'll never be positives. And if we're always going to slide down with the negativity of this world, then we won't make progress. But we can use the negativity of this world to propel us into positivity and help us towards becoming more and more spiritual. So Kali Yuga is actually a blessing. I know that's a tough comment to absorb, but it's actually a blessing. Okay.
Pashotpata nara vyagra divyan bhoman sadehikan darunan samsato duran bhayam no buddhi mohanam.
Just see, O man with the tiger's strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains are already dangerous in themselves, are foreboding danger in the near future by deluding our intelligence.
Urvakshe bahavo mahyam sphuranti anga punah punah vepatushchapi hirdaye aradashanti vipriyam.
The left side of my body, my thighs, arms, and eyes are all quivering again and again. I'm having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings.
Sivai sodyantam adityam abhiroti analanana mamanga saramiyoyam abhire bhati abhiruvat.
Just see, O Bhim, how the she-jackal cries at the rising sun and vomits fire, and how the dog barks at me fearlessly.
Sastaha kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pasavo pare pahamscha purusha vyagra lakshaye rudato mama.
O Bhimsen, tiger amongst men, now useful animals like cows are passing me on my left side, and lower animals like the asses are circumambulating me. My horses appear to weep upon seeing me.
Mrityu dutah kapatoyam ulukah kampayan manaha pratyulukascha kuhvanir vishwam vai sunyam ichataha.
Just see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and the rival crows make my heart tremble. It appears that they want to make a void of the whole universe.
Dhumradishah paridhayah kampate buhusahadribihi nirghatascha mahamstata sakam cha stanayitnubihi.
Just see how the smoke encircles the sky. It appears that the earth and mountains are throbbing. Just hear the cloudless thunder and see the bolts from the blue.
Vayurvati kharasparsho rajasa visharjam stamaha ashrik barshanti jalada bhibhatsam iva sarvataha.
The wind blows violently, blasting dust everywhere and creating darkness. Clouds are raining everywhere with bloody disasters.
Suryam hata prabham pasya grahamardam mitho divi sasankuler bhutta ganir jwalite varodasi.
The rays of the sun are declining and the stars appear to be fighting amongst themselves. Confused living entities appear to be ablaze and weeping.
Nadyo nadaschakshubitaha saramsi cha mamamsi cha najwalati agniragina kaloyam kim vidhashyati.
Rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs, and the mind are all perturbed. Butter no longer ignites fire. What is this extraordinary time? What is going to happen?
Na pibanti stanam vatsa, na duhyanti cha mataraha, rudanti ashru mukha gavo, na hirshanti rishabhavraje.
The calves do not suck the teats of the cows, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing, crying, tears in the eyes, and the bulls take no pleasure in the pasturing grounds.
Devatani rudanti va svidyanti hi uchalanti cha ime janapada grama purodhyana karasramaha bhrashta shriyo niranandaha kim agham darshayanti naha.
The deities seem to be crying in the temple, lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. All the cities, villages, towns, gardens, mines, and hermitages, now devoid of beauty and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are now awaiting us.
Manya etir mahotpatir nunam bhagavatah padai ananya purusha shibhir hina bhurhata sorbhaga.
I think that all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked with the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. Prabhuji, you're on mute.
Thank you. That's what the wife's trying to do to me all the time, but never succeeds. Inauspicious omens. So Yudhishthir and Bhima are conversing about the situation on the planet. Just see how the miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains, all very dangerous to them in themselves, are forbidding danger in the near future. So they can predict that something's going to happen, because Dwapar Yuga was really nice. Now all these things are happening. I think all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of this world. The world was fortunate to have been marked by the lotus footprints of the lotus feet of this Lord. The signs indicate that this will no longer be. So Yudhishthira, he's predicting that this is really good, not good signs. And it's a fact, when Krishna leaves, when the sun sets, darkness overcomes everything. In the same way, when Krishna left, the darkness of ignorance covered the world. So Krishna is the light, the Lord is the light. And whenever he's not present in our dealings, in our association, then unfortunately darkness will prevail. So this is a really good example that even we are in Kali Yuga where there is darkness, but if we always chanting the holy names of the Lord, always associating with the Bhagavatam, with the devotees, then we won't be in darkness, we'll be in the light. So this is in Kali Yuga, we can actually see in Dwapar Yuga, Yudhishthira was very much used to a very comfortable way of life in one sense, because the atmosphere was fantastic. People in general were very well mannered, especially after the war. And suddenly to see all these horrible or inauspicious signs was a real eye-opening for him. What's going on? But we're used to it. This is inauspiciousness is all around us. And that's why the Lord is very, very kindly in this age of Kali, you come in the form of the holy name. So when we chant the holy names, we are actually associating with the Lord, and hopefully that will lead to goodness and pure goodness as opposed to ignorance. All right.
इति चिन्तायतस्तस्य दृष्टारिष्टेन चेतसा राज्ञा प्रत्यागमद्ब्रह्मन् यदुपुर्या कपिध्वजः.
O Brahman Shaunak, while Maharaj Yudhishthir, observing the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time, was thus thinking to himself, Arjun came back from the city of the Yadus, Dwarika.
Tam padayo nipatitam ayatha purvamaturam adho vadanam abbindun srijantam nayanabhyajayo.
When he bowed at his feet, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His head was down and tears glided from his lotus eyes.
Vilokyo hirdayo vichayam anujam ripaha prichati sma sruhin madhye samsmaran naraderitam.
Seeing Arjun pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narad, questioned him in the midst of friends.
Yudhishthira uvacha kachid anarthapuryam nah swajanah sukham masate madhu bhoja dasharharha sadvatandhaka vrishnayah.
Maharaj Yudhishthir said, My dear brother, please tell me whether our friends and relatives, such as Madhu, Bhoj, Dasarha, Arha, Satvata, Andhak, and the members of the Yadu family are all passing their days in happiness.
Suro matamaha kachit swasti ashte vathamarisaha matulah sanujah kachit kushali anakadundubihi.
Is my respectable grandfather, Sursen, in a happy mood? And are my maternal uncle, Vasudev, and his younger brothers all doing well?
Saptaswasarastadpatnyo matulanyah sahatmajaha asate sasnu sahakshemam devaki pramukha swayam.
His 7 wives, headed by Devki, are all sisters. Are they and their sons and daughters-in-law all happy?
Kachid rajahuko jivati asat putrosya chanujaha hirdikah sashuto kruro jayanta gadasaranaha asate kushalam kachid ye cha satrujidadayah kachid ashte sukham ramo bhagavan sadvatam prabhu.
Are Ugrasen, whose son was the mischievous Kans, and his younger brother still living? Are Ridhika and his son Kritavarma happy? Are Akrur, Jayanta, Gada, Sarana, and Satrujit all happy? How is Balaram, the personality of Godhead and the protector of devotees?
Pradyumnah sarva vrishninam sukham ashte maharathaha गंभीररयो निरुद्धो वर्धते भगवानुता.
How is Pradyumna, the great general of the Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Anirudh, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well?
सुसेनश्चारुदेशनश्च साम्बो जाम्बवती सुतः अन्ये च कार्ष्णी पर्वरः सपुत्रा ऋषभादयः.
Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Sushain, Charudeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, and Rishabha, along with their sons, all doing well?
तथैवानुचरासुरे सूत्रदेवोऽधवादयः सुनन्दानन्दशीर्षन्या ये चान्ये साध्वतर्षभाः अपि स्वस्ति आसते सर्वे रामकृष्णाभुजाश्रयाः अपि स्मरन्ति कुशलम् अस्माकं बद्धसौहृदाः.
Also, Srutadeva, Uddhav, and others, Nand, Sunand, and other leaders of liberated souls who are constant companions of the Lord, are protected by Lord Balram and Krishna. Are they doing well in their respective functions? Do they, who are all eternally bound in friendship with us, remember our welfare?
Very good. Thank you. So let's take a little pause there. Okay. Arjun's dejection. While the king was observing the inauspicious signs on the earth, at that time Arjun came back from Dwarka. When he bowed at his feet, Yudhishthira saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His head was down, tears glided down from his lotus eyes. Seeing Arjun pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of sage Narad, questioned him in the midst of friends. Yudhishthira said, "My dear brother, please tell me whether our friends and relatives are passing the days in happiness." So this is obviously a huge shock, because Arjuna was such great friends with Sri Krishna, and something has happened, and Arjuna is really dejected, and Yudhishthira can see this in his heart. There's a huge problem. So let's see what happens next.
Bhagavan api govindo brahmanyo bhaktavatsalah kachit pure sudharmayam sukham ashte suhridvritaha.
Is Lord Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the brahmanas, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri, surrounded by friends?
Mangalaya cha lokanam kshemaya cha bhavaya cha ashte yadukulam bodhab adyonanta sakha puman yadbhahudanda guptayam swapuryam yadavorichataha kridanti paramanandam mahapurushikaiva.
The original personality of Godhead, the enjoyer, and Balram, the primeval Lord Ananta, are staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky.
Yatpada susrusana mukhya karmana सत्यादयो द्व्यष्टसहस्रयोषितः निर्जित्य सङ्ख्ये त्रिदशां तदाशिषो हरन्ति व्रजरायुध वलभोचिताः.
Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens at Dwarka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts.
Okay, so, one more.
यद्बाहुदन्ताभ्युदयानुजीविनो यदु प्रवीराहि यकुतो भयामुः अधिक्रमन्ति अङ्घ्रिभिराहिताम्बलात् सभां सुधर्मां सुरसत्तमोचिताम्.
The great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect, and therefore their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which the best demigods deserved, but which was taken away from them.
Right. So Yudhishthira further inquired from Arjuna, how is Lord Krishna? Is Lord Krishna Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the sensitive Brahmins, who is affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarka, surrounded by his friends? So, of course, Yudhishthira is asking in the hope that Arjuna will answer, yes, everything is fine, don't worry. But he knows by the omens and by Narada Muni's prediction that something is desperately wrong.
कचित्तेनामयं तात भ्रष्टतेजा विभाषि मे अलब्धमानुवज्ञान्तः किं वा तात शिरोसितः.
My brother Arjun, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka?
कचिन्नाभिहतो भावै शब्दादिभिरमङ्गलै न दत्तम् उक्तम् अर्थिभ्यः आशयाय प्रतिश्रुतम्.
Had someone addressed you with unfriendly words or threatened you, could you not give charity to one who asked, or could you not keep your promise to someone?
कचित्त्वं ब्राह्मणं बालं गाम्वृद्धं रोगिणं स्त्रियं शरणोपसृतं सत्वं नात्याक्षी शरणप्रदः.
You are always the protector of the deserving living beings, such as Brahmins, children, cows, women, and deceased. Could you not give them protection when they approach you for shelter?
कचित्त्वं नागमो गम्यां वा सत्कृतां स्त्रियं पराजितो वाथ भवान् नोत्तमेर्ना समे पथि.
Have you contacted a woman of impeccable character, or have you not properly treated a deserving woman, or have you been defeated on the way by someone who is inferior or equal to you?
अपि स्वेत्पर्यभुक्तास्त्वं संभोग्यान् वृद्धबालकान् जुगुप्सितं कर्म किञ्चित् कृतवान् न यदक्षमम्.
Have you not taken care of old men and boys who deserve to dine with you? Have you left them and taken your meal alone? Have you committed some unpardonable mistake which is considered to be abominable?
Kachit prestha me nath hirdayenatma bandhuna sunyosmi rahito nityam manasyete nyathanaruk. Hare Krishna.
Or is it that you are feeling empty for all time because you might have lost your most intimate friend, Lord Krishna? Oh, my brother Arjun, I can think of no other reason for your becoming so dejected.
Jai, 14th chapter, ki jai. Bhagavatam ki jai. So, final section. Yudhishthira continued, please tell me. So he keeps asking questions to Arjuna. Is your health okay? You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting, neglecting you? Because you stayed a long time in Dwarka. So sometimes when you overstay at a relative's house, they might just become a little bit upset. Have you committed some mistake? Or is it that you're feeling empty because you've lost your most intimate friend, Krishna? Oh, my dear Arjun, I can think of no other reason for you being so dejected. One cannot even think how he must have been feeling, Arjun, when Krishna departed from this world. The feeling of dejection. And of course, he lost all of his powers because that was, an incident took place after he left Dwarka, where I think we'll see that in the next section, next chapter, where he's defeated by some cowherd men. This is what happens when the Lord disappears from our lives. We lose all of our strength, especially when devotees have been completely surrendered and rely on the Lord for everything. Whether he's present or not, that happens. So it's even worse when he's present and physically present or spiritually present. And the Lord disappears from our vision. It's very, very difficult, of course. But we can't even imagine because we've never been in that situation. But even when we leave the association of the Lord for whatever reason, even in this age of Kali Yuga, Lord is perhaps not physically present before us, although his physical and spiritual form is the same. He's with us in the form of the holy name or the books that we read. But when we lose that association with even the holy name because of maybe some disinterest on our part, then we feel we lose. We lose not just spiritually, we lose materially as well. So connection with the Lord is good for all time, every time, for everything. So I wanted to stop there. And I saw one question by Puna Mataji saying, what does it mean when it says eternal time has changed? So time is eternal. It's one of the things that is always going to be there, especially in the material world. In the spiritual world, time does not dictate. In this material world, time dictates, right? You lose a moment, it's gone forever. In the spiritual world, time is simply a servant of the Lord. So it doesn't dictate what happens. So past, present, future doesn't even exist in the spiritual world because everything is meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Even time manifests in order to please the Supreme Lord. In this material world, however, it's different. It's different because time destroys everything. Or the Lord destroys everything in his form as time. So eternal time is always going to be there. It changes, however, according to the yugas. So in Satya Yuga, time is a different conception of time from Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, for example, one can live for 100,000 years according to the scriptures. And the form of meditation, of realizing God, is meditation for very long periods of time. But as we move into the different ages, Treta Yuga, time changes, the eternal time changes, what changes? The characteristic of time changes. It becomes smaller. So 10,000 years in Treta Yuga, and 1,000 years in Dwapara, 100 years in Kali Yuga. These are the sort of timescales for human lives. So as we move from one yuga to the other, so we're moving from Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga, time changes significantly from 1,000 years to 100 years maximum. So in that sense, although time is eternal, it changes. And then when it goes back into Satyuga, its characteristic again changes. So people will have more time, so they're able to meditate for longer periods. In Kali Yuga, there is no time. If you approach somebody on the street, like we used to for selling books, like Krishna conscious books, they'll say, no time, no time. Nobody's got time. Nobody can stop for you. That's a symptom. That's a symptom of Kali Yuga. Time is eternal, but it changes according to the yugas, and its characteristic changes as well. Is that okay, Purnamataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. So I think it was in one of the first paragraphs, where we read about the history, where he noticed that, I think I missed a word there, which says the direction of the eternal time has changed. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It makes sense now, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay. Now, thank you for picking it up. I also saw that, and I was thinking somebody might ask, and you did. Well done. It's good. It's very good, actually, because it shows, it shows attentiveness and actually analyzing what the scriptures say, which is very, very important, to analyze the scriptures. If we just accept the scriptures as they are, it's good, but that's just blind following. Unless one agrees and accepts it in a logical, reasonable way. But if you question it, that's a sign of intelligence, actually. It's good to question. We always encourage the children to question, because at school they'll be taught all sorts of things, and they would be taught that this is scientific fact, but actually it's just fiction, most of it. To question everything, question me as well, and they do. So, thank you. Anything else? Anybody else? Surinder, anything you'd like to share?
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Prabhu, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I would like to share a few things from Prabhupada Jivnamritam. So it's very important that we always keep a relationship with Lord Shri Krishna and his devotees. So there is one verse which explains as follows: everything devoid of a relationship with Lord Hari should be rejected. One should not reside wherever the river of nectarine tidings of Krishna does not flow. That is, wherever there is no Krishna Katha, one should not reside there. Wherever Krishna's surrendered devotees cannot be found, and wherever the grand festival of chanting Krishna's holy name is not conducted, even if it is heaven, one should not reside over there. Another verse is spoken by Srimati Devaki, and she says as follows: the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna is the only protection for all planes of life. O Supreme Lord, despite fleeing throughout every planet of the universe out of fear of the black snake of death, the mortal being cannot find a place devoid of fear. But when he is blessed with the fortune of coming to the shelter of your lotus feet, he becomes reposed with a peaceful heart, and death itself flees from his company. So this verse was spoken by Srimati Devaki. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Very nice Krishna Katha.
Thank you.
Explained very nicely. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Really important instructions.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anything else, Punamataji? Anything you'd like to ask?
Prabhuji, Kathan has a question.
Yes, Katan.
Go on. You try your way. It's okay. Give it a try. So, Prabhuji, his first question was, who wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam? For which I answered. But again, there was another question that Sri Vyas Muni wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Puran. And I think it was Shukdev Ji Maharaj. He was, narrating it to Parikshit Raja. But before that, I mean, I'm sure, was it narrated by anybody else, or is what was it the first time that was narrated?
Very good question. It's probably the 6th or 7th. I mean, it would probably be even more than that. But we've identified, I think, at least 6 other occasions where the Bhagavatam was spoken before Vyasadeva wrote it down. So it was spoken in its seed form by Lord Narayan to Brahma. It was spoken by Lord Shiva to Parvati. It was also spoken between, I think, Uddhav and somebody else. We've got a list of it somewhere. All the other occasions when it was recited. So if I find it, I'll share it with you. But I'm not sure if I'll find it. It's to be like looking for a needle in a haystack at the moment.
Yeah, no worries, Prabhuji. This has also answered our question. Thank you.
But yeah, very good question, Katan. Very good question. And Vyasadeva is no ordinary person. Actually, he is a literal incarnation of the Supreme Lord. It's literally incarnation. So he is actually regarded to be Saktavesh avatar of the Lord. So Vyasadeva is not an ordinary person like you and myself, but actually is empowered to write the scriptures by the Lord himself. Saktavesh avatar. Very important personality. Thank you for that. Anything else? Anybody else?
One last thing, Prabhuji, may I?
Of course, of course.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, you know, when we're discussing the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the place that he chose to depart his bodily soul, you know, is Somnath, which is Prabhasa Kshetra.
Yes.
Because it's said that, you know, the first ray of sun comes there, and that is a mokshadam. So lucky to be born there. That's the yeah, that's the reason I remember it. And I think I ought to mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fundamentally important. And the thing with Lord Krishna's disappearance is his body and his soul are the same. So when he leaves the world, it's not that he leaves his body here. He leaves completely. So he goes back to the spiritual world in his form, in his body. So he doesn't have a material body at all. His body is completely spiritual. So that's why he doesn't leave anything behind. He completely goes. So this is important understanding to have. The Lord does not have a material body like you and myself. You know, he has his body is completely spiritual. And that's also applicable to his like Radharani and all the other gopis and the gopas. They're all spiritual, completely spiritual.
In a way, that's so unfair for us, isn't it?
Sorry?
In a way, that's so unfair for us.
Only in the sense that we wanted to be away from him. If we didn't want to be away from him, there would be no question of that separation between the body and the soul. And even we're away from him, look at him, what he's doing. He is with us all the time during this, our holiday in this material world. He stays with us. We can't even see him. We may even abuse him. We may even shout at him, my God, why did you allow that to happen to me? But yet he tolerates and he's understanding. He's never going to leave us. He's guiding us. He's protecting us. He's always with us as Paramatma. So in one sense, it's unfair because, you know, we don't have the body that we left the spiritual world with, but we can't, because in this world is a material world. Our body is our soul, the soul will have a different vehicle it requires to live in this material world. And it's our choice. We made the choice. We may not remember the choice because it was maybe many millions of lifetimes ago, but we made the choice. So we have to live with that choice now. But at the same time, he affords us the opportunity to reunite with him. That's why he comes to this world so many times. And he makes the effort of showing us how sweet he is, so we fall in love with him. So it's not that he's abandoned us. He's always with us, for one. But second, he always comes down again and again to reclaim us. You know, there's this verse, Yada Yada Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata. You will know it. That he appears to destroy the miscreants or to re-establish religion and destroy irreligion. But that's not why he comes. Not at all. He doesn't have to do that, because he can send anybody to destroy irreligion. He can send Hanuman, he can send Arjun, anybody. And to re-establish religion, he can send all his gurus, no problem. So why does he come? To get us back to him. That's the only reason he comes to this world. He wants us back. He's missing us. He loves us. And we're the foolish guys who thinking we can live without him, no problem. He provides everything. You know, Shavi is going to recite the 15th chapter. The 15th chapter describes how Lord explains how I give you everything. I give you the air you breathe. I give you the moonshine, which gives you the taste in the vegetable. I give you the sun. I give you the land to live on. I give you your body. I give you everything. But you're just ignoring me, thinking, you know, you don't need me. God is dead. So unfortunately, what we perceive as our unfairness is our stupidity, in one sense, because we have effectively rejected the Lord, but he still provides everything we have. You know, he's such an extraordinary personality, and he keeps coming because he wants us back with him. Even though we're so stupid, he wants us back with him. How kind is that? You know, so this is unfortunately our position. You know, this is where we are at. But he's very, very kind, very, very merciful, even to those who even want to deny his existence. He still cares for that person. I couldn't do it. I won't do it. But he does. You see, he's kind. Does that make sense, Punamaji?
Yes, Prabhuji, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for expressing, you know, yourself, and your children are so amazing. It's just, you're so fortunate. But remember one thing for sure, you know, things change when they grow. So we have to be very careful about our attachments. At some point, every mother and father goes through this, and I'm sure it will happen. You know, you think, oh yeah, I brought you up, you know, I looked after you, and you have a certain expectation from them. But don't have those expectations. Don't have them. because you bind your child. And you may also get disappointed. The only attachment that really matters is that one to the Lord. If he's kind, he'll destroy all of the attachments that we have in this world. So anyway, just something that I'm learning as I'm going along. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Unless there's anything else, we shall catch up hopefully next. Oh, next week. Next week, something's happening next week. No, it's the week after. It must be the week after. No, next week we're fine. We're back on next week. I think the week after there's a Gita Jayanti program which we've been invited to. So I was thinking we can join that program. That's not this coming Friday, the Friday after that. Oh, next weekend is, let me just stop the recording. Bhagavatam